India, officially Republic of India. It's a country in Asia. It has two official languages, Hindi and English. The second biggest population on earth, the seventh biggest country, colonized by England. Canada, country in North America, shared in 10 provinces. English and French are its official languages. The second biggest country on earth, the sixth biggest IDH, colonized by England. But how two countries which were both colonized by England can be so different?
The answer for this question started many years ago in the time of Great Voyage. Countries like England were big metropolises and had his colonies. There are two types of colonies: colonies of exploration like India and colonies of settlement like Canada. And this had made big difference in what his countries are now.
Stephen Harper, the Prime Minister of Canada, is responsible for all his actions in the House of Commons. If the House reproves anything created by the party that rules, which Prime Minister is the leader, or if the House chooses by a no-confidence election and all the Senate agrees, our Prime Minister renounces his position or he requests the dissolution of the Parliament of Canada for a new election to begin.
Republic of India is a feudalist democracy. The president is the leader of the state and it has powers, which prime minister is the leader of the government. India has been the biggest democracy on earth since its long process of independence, which people like Mahatma Gandhi has a part.
Canada began to develop. Since the first industries emerged, the bourgeoisie finally opened the door for new technologies. In India, this was impossible because it was explored and what was extracted there was only sold with the metropolis with a very cheap price, while import was expensive. In Canada, the territory was also explored, but what was extracted was used in the industries of the country itself. It generated and development. In India, plantations, land for monoculture, mainly tobacco, tea, and cotton, occupied most of the territory, and only a small part of the production was destined for the region's inhabitants. There were different processes of colonization. India could become a developed country. Its GDP is estimated at 1.8 trillion, while Canada is 463 trillion. That is, after all, the production rate is considerably underdeveloped in the country, which can still generate in the future perhaps further development.
Such things as economy and politics has influence in the social aspects. But the whole story starts a long time ago, when Canada was discovered by England. The British hadn't found anything as gold or precious metals. So they made of Canada a place for scums of England, and those people started to live there and raise their families. So it became a colony of settlement.
With many people living there, the Canadian population has started to grow. And with the people working, studying, the economy has grown. And they invested in the developing of the country.
As England was looking for precious metals and species, India was the perfect place to explore, as it is rich in raw material. And the people who used to live there become slaves to work in the mines.
And you must be asking yourself how it affects in today's reality. Well, where are the descendants of the slaves?
The rate of illiteracy is 39% of the population, and there are the slave descendants, which live in the misery and doesn't have access to the education. All this because of what has happened in the past, and that's why the population is so poor.
Impressive, isn't it? But it isn't the only difference. The natural aspects of both countries are very different, as they are in different corners of the planet.
Canada is the northwest of North America. The weather in Canada is polar and with well-defined seasons. Canada has the biggest presence of lakes. Nearly half of it is in its surface, occupied by the Canadian Shield. That is a great platform formed by steeply elevated and very old crystalline rocks.
In the Canadian flora, we can highlight the great forests, and in the south, you will find herbs, mosses, flowers, and pines. And in the wildlife, we find animals such as polar bears, wolves, cougars, and wide variety of birds.
In India, we find something very different. It has mountains ranges in the forming the Himalayas, which has the world's highest mountains and were formed by recent tectonic shocks. The wildlife of India is rich in lions, tigers, leopards, wolves, foxes, wild dogs, and bears.
India has a rich and varied vegetation. The regional valleys has a bush vegetation with abundant presence of bamboos and palm trees. The main natural resources of Canada are natural gas, oil, gold, coal, copper, iron, nickel, uranium, and zircon. Although India counts on vast reserves of coal, iron, and manganese, it's poor in non-ferrous except aluminium.
Indians are attached in their traditions and keep them alive until today. For example, when the husband dies, the wife has to scrape the head, don't use more jewelry, and dresses always in white. Have a daughter in India is considered a burden because at the time of marriage it is necessary to give a dowry to the family. India is the birthplace of the Hindu religion. Over 80% of the Indian population is adherent to Hinduism. The most important gods for religion are the Trinity of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. In India, there are a variety of musical styles. Some of the most popular styles are Keva, Dauli, Drupa Tal, and Tal Bhajan. One of the most famous musicians is Ravi Shankar. India is home to the most diverse expressions in dance, forming the classical model, passing to folk and ending in contemporary.
Côte contre côte, nos corps vibrent partant. Et dans ces courses, du sang des rires, on tombe presque au champ. Et ton tes rires qui défonce plus que l'ego qui te prend. Tu nous réduis à l'impossible dans tes tourments. Et sans gêne, tu te défonces.
Over 70% of Canadians have in their homes a high percentage of durable goods, such as cars, washing machines, televisions, telephones, and radios. Canada was one of the first countries in the world to connect schools and libraries to the internet.
Salam.